Hello, you're welcome to Marriage Talk. For this week, I will be responding to a feedback in this video. It's actually a question, and I will be as honest as possible in my response. The question says, my husband is nicer to other women, especially in church. What do I do? I get this question sometimes of how a partner is nicer to other people outside than they are to them. And one of the things people do in marriage is when there is a problem, partners are quick to fault the other person or look for solutions around them. When there is an issue in your marriage, the first place to look for solution is within you, is yourself. Begin to ask yourself questions. How did I have a role to play in this? What did I do that I shouldn't have done? What should I have done differently? In a case like this, if you suddenly find out that your husband is nicer to other women, especially in church, than he is to you, don't be quick to say he may be cheating. He may be attracted to other women. You want to ask yourself certain questions. Do I overreact? Am I the one pushing him away? Am I the one giving him the space for other women to come in? Don't be quick to point fingers to your husband to say he has a problem or other women have a problem. He calls himself a Christian and yet he can control himself. The first place to look for solution is within you. What were you doing that you stopped doing? What should you do differently? Are you giving him the kind of happiness he deserves as your husband? Are you reacting to him instead of when you should be responding? Sometimes even our attitude can push our spouse away even when we do not know it. Especially if you've been married for some time, it may begin to feel like your marriage is losing steam and excitement that it had when you just started, which is why marriage should be deliberately worked out. It's like a garden. If you don't nurture your garden, you will not have a good harvest. The same thing with marriage. You have to tend your marriage to get your desirable result. Number two thing you want to check is, are you pleasable? Are you loving? Are you kind? The little things your husband does for you, do you find them as great sacrifice or you overlook them? I'll tell you, there are some women out there, if you give them 5,000 naira, they will be grateful. Maybe your husband comes home and then gives you 50,000 naira and you are not half as grateful. Are you pleasable? The little things that your husband do for you, do you appreciate it? Do you count it as, I regard your sacrifice? If you don't do this, he will find it easier to do things for people who will appreciate him. Everyone wants to feel worthy for the sacrifices they make for people. And so if your partner is making sacrifice for other people, it's because those people's response makes him feel worthy. This should also be brought into the marriage. Whatever your partner does for you, acknowledge it. Don't just say thank you. Make them know that you really appreciate the sacrifice of whatever they have done. You want to also ask yourself, is your husband can your husband boast that you are his confidence? We have marriages that partners can confide in one another because one person is a gossip or one person has a best friend. If you have that kind of partner, the tendency is that they will find joy and excitement with someone else. I am not saying that that is what is ideal in marital situation, but I'm saying that sometimes partners have a way they silently just push the other person away, and when problems arise, they think that person is the one who have a problem. Can your husband talk to you? Can they confide? Can he confide in you? Can he beat his chest to say, when I run into a problem, my wife will be there for me to defend me? Can he say that about you? You also want to ask yourself, how well do you communicate? I have seen situations and marriages where couple communicate at the top of their voice. No amicable communication. Nothing is settled by amicable dialogue. It's hot, exchange of words in anger, name calling. Now, if you are in that kind of situation where the other person is looking for peace, you are not going to enjoy a blissful marriage. Unfortunately, a lot of people want that made in heaven marriage on earth, while they themselves are not willing to give the sacrifices that it takes to have that kind of marriage. But let us say all of these things that I just mentioned are not true in your own case. Maybe you are very appreciative. Maybe you don't overreact. Maybe you don't gossip. Maybe you don't do any of these things that I just mentioned. And you still say your husband is nicer outside. Then you want to dialogue with him. Dialogue with him means you need to communicate your feelings. You need to tell him, this is how I feel when you give other women money, when you show them more care, when you show them more concern than you do to me. And give him the opportunity to give you an explanation. And when he does, believe him. Give him the benefit of that. If you want to check it out, check it out. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, wives would rather react than respond. So you find out that your husband is being kind to another woman, then you go fight the woman, or you go do something that will hinder your husband from reaching out to that woman. You need to find out, what kind of relationship does my husband share with this woman? And the best person to ask is not that woman, it's your husband. You want to go home and say, I find out this is what you're doing for this person. Why are you doing it? And this is how I feel about you doing it. If your husband is sincere and is concerned about the health of your marriage, he will open up to you, especially if you are that kind of woman who will respond. But if you're going to react and if you're going to take it to the extreme, no man is going to find it cool dealing with a wife who will always react, especially when you go call all the women and say, I know what my husband is doing for you. Now, let me balance this up. This video is not to say that you should indulge a cheating spouse. That's not what it is about. Or a husband who is not faithful, or a husband who is flirting with different women. Is not what this video is about. But it's about a woman who feels that her husband is nicer to other women outside than he is to her. It therefore means that this woman is sure that there is no sexual relationship with other women, just concerned that he is nicer to other women. Lastly, my advice, like it is in all of my videos, is cultivate the habit of praying with your husband, for your wife, and with your spouse. Now, a couple who prays together, there will be no secret and there will be no fear for anything. When Jesus is in the center of your home, he is in control. Even when the tendency and temptation comes to cheat, or when the temptation comes for an external party to come in, the fear of Christ will make the person remember that you are not only accountable and responsible to your partner, but you're also responsible to God. Next week, I'll take another question and I will answer. Till then, stay blessed.